Hey guys, it's Karl. So we have in front of me a brand new smartphone, only the second one that I've checked out from iQOO. This is the iQOO 11. One of the big reasons why I'm into these devices is that connection into motorsport. So they are partnered with BMW M Motorsport. I unboxed a previous phone. A lot of you messaged me, said that you liked it. So I'm excited to check out this new flagship, and we'll quickly kind of take this out of the box first. And I know that iQOO is trying to grow their brand, trying to bring a bit more awareness to their devices. Always great to see more competitors in the space, and you can kind of see right off the bat we have a very BMW M Motorsport inspired looking phone. Obviously we'll unbox this, but you can see this is actually a sub-brand or underneath Vivo, so a brand that a lot of us are familiar with. And underneath the phone we actually have that little partnership plaque. I actually drive a BMW as my winter car right now. It's a 128i. I've got a story on the side which I'll get to in a second, and when we flip that over we can kind of see how cool that connection is. We also have a nice little clear case, quick start guide, as well as a 120 watt fast charger, and of course a USB-C cable. So great to see some actual accessories in the box. I know that we are shifting away from that, especially here in North America. So great to see some of those. And when we take the plastic off, what I really love is the unique colorways of some of these new devices, some of these collab devices from the typical phones that we see from Samsung, from Apple, which are just all glass backs, all one color. So I'm a bit of a BMW head. Like I said, I know my colors fairly well. It's very similar, and you've got the 3 racing stripes, which according to them are the passion and excitement for racing, which is the red stripe. The black one is the pursuit of technological innovation, and the blue, the fun of exploring the unknown. So a bit of a marketing gimmick. It would have been cool to see this as the BMW M Motorsport race car inspired design. And fun little story, so I've got my little Alpine white BMW 1M on my wallpaper to match. We'll go off tangent. My biggest regret in the car space, I actually had a 1M on order. BMW only made 6,309. We Googled that, and Canada only got 220. I had it in the launch spec. Once again, I know my BMW colors, Valencia orange with the orange stitching. It's worth so much money now. Like I said, one of my biggest regrets. But I do have, I guess, the normal production car of that, the 128i naturally aspirated V6. I'm never getting rid of that. I think that's like a modern classic, or will be in the future. That's my BMW rant. Back to the phone. Yeah, that's kind of why I like this design. And when we switch around to the front, we have a 6.78 inch ultra high def display, 2K display. It's completely flat, which I'm a big fan of. 1100 nits up to 1800 nits of peak brightness. It's an LTPO 4.0 display, so it changes frame rates depending on what you're doing. It's one of the nicest displays that I've seen, and especially from a new smartphone brand. It's kind of refreshing to see they're throwing the best in class tech into it, and this kind of competes with what else we have on other flagships in the market. And that also applies to what's on the internals on the inside. And this is actually one of the first batch of smartphones that's rocking the brand new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 platform. I was actually just out in Hawaii for Snapdragon's conference. I didn't get to benchmark out there, so I'm gonna throw some benchmark scores, some Geekbench, to kind of see what the performance is like. But like I said, the fact that they have the latest and greatest inside is a really good sign. And in turn, that performance is kind of unreal. So I actually just downloaded the benchmark game to get Genshin Impact, which this phone absolutely crushed. Super smooth frame rates, and it was one of the best gaming experiences that I had. It also has this cool liquid cooling chamber system, which is essentially just an extra little piece of graphite inside to help keep things cool. And while I'm using this, you notice other phones that get quite hot in hand. This one has been quite cool to touch, which is cool. There's also a V2 chip inside, which helps with gaming performance. It essentially allows the game to match the screen's refresh rate through interpolation. So it's just nice to see, once again, those extra little features being thrown in, something that you typically get with a flagship and would probably spend close to $2,000 on. It's rocking 16 gigs of RAM, which you can add an additional 256 gigs of storage, and running Android 13 with Fun Touch OS 13 Overtop. Always a bit of a funny name, and I will give them props. There isn't too much bloatware when you kind of go through. They've kept it to a bare minimal, and I think most of these are kind of shifting towards stock Android, and nice to see there aren't any unwanted games or ads that, once again, we've seen in other competition. So overall, a pretty clean device, and I guess the last, or one of the most important things to talk about, is that camera module on the back. It's got a 50 megapixel ultra sensing main, and I decided to test this out at a BMW dealership. There was no better place to take some dope pics of cars, so I'll come to those in a second. A 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 13 megapixel telephoto / portrait. The one thing I would just recommend, turn off beauty mode unless you want to look like a porcelain doll, but I leave the sample photos and video shots for you to decide. Like I said, no better place to test this out than to take pics of some sweet BMWs. So yeah, that's kind of been my review of the new iQOO 11. Just really dope to see a refreshing new smartphone design and just something new to kind of challenge the space. Obviously, iQOO is throwing the bus at the spec sheet here. We have the latest Snapdragon chip. We've got a great display. We've got a pretty iconic design, and even some of the guys at the BMW dealership, they mentioned that these stripes look like racing stripes. And on closer inspection, these are actually Clou de Paris designs on the inside. And if you're familiar with any watch terms, if you know watches like A. Lange & Söhne, Patek Philippe, some of the higher end Swiss manufacturers have that nice design on their watch faces. So it's those little attentions to detail that I'm a fan of. Just would have loved to have seen the BMW M Motorsport race cars inspired design across the back. If you happen to own or order a 1M, let me know down below in the comments. Biggest regret for me ordering a car, but I can live through that by looking, I guess, at my new iQOO Legend Edition phone. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next vids. Peace!